August the 21st, 1909. And
That's one thing I didn't put in.
that was when we lived real close to Grandma and Grandpa Pearsall. The folks built a new house just on the north side of the land they owned, and they built a home there. And we lived there till I was 3 years old, and then we moved over on what we call May's place. That was a big little house right close to Mount Pleasant Cemetery, and that's where we lived. Were living then when my father died. My father passed away April the 27th in 1920. And
So you're only about 11 years old then?
yes, I was only about 11, and Leslie was, well, he was almost 13, and then Ruth was 3 years old. There were just the three of we children. Ruth was born after we moved over on May's place.
And what did your dad die from?
Well, back then they called it a liver, some kind of liver complications. I don't really know. No telling what they'd call it today, but they'd probably have a lot of names and all for it. But it was, I really don't know.
She said you could see where it grew out his back.
Well, he had an outside tumor, I think, on his side.
Pushed out on his back.
Yes, I remember that. But
so that
might have been some kind of cancer back then.
Could have been. Could well have been.
Do you know where your father was born? Where?
He was born over in Indiana, over near Clinton.
And what was his full name?
George Milligan Wells.
What about your mother? Where was she born, and what was her full name?
She was born up by Martinsville. I can't tell you just
before folks moved down that place.
Yeah, she was born up near Martinsville.
Then your grandpa bought that place and you moved down to it.
Yeah, they did. They moved down there where they lived, down there by, well, the place that we still of course the buildings and everything's all gone. Nothing there but just farmland.
And Grandma Hart and your mother, they came from around here, or did they come originally from another state? Or
yeah, my grandmother, she was up from around Hazeldale. That was where the Ryans, where she came from.
That'd be up Route 33, you know where that square bend road is. It points to Hazeldale west there.
My grandfather Pearsall, they came from through from Kentucky, but they were wealthy people. They came through with a. I've heard Grandpa tell how.
Tell it loud enough that we can.
I've heard my grandpa tell how they came through and on this big covered wagon, and they had this big, like we would call it, a big iron pot of some kind that was at their feet. It was covered, and that was what their money was in. They carried their money in that. But then the tale I always remembered the most was what they told about my grandfather Pearsall when he was just a little boy, and they were wealthy people, and he when he was only 3 years old, his mother looked out one day, and there they had gypsies, and they were just getting over the fence with him. They were, you know, like kidnapping him. And so, of course, they got him back. But now that's just how near I come to not having a grandfather. They was getting over the fence with him when he was only 3 years old. But they got him back, and so that's why I had a Grandpa Pearsall. What else you want to know?
Oh, let's see, your, well, Uncle Leslie, he lived here all his life?
Yes, there was just we three children, Leslie and me and Ruth. And
she died in the 40s sometime?
41. She died in 41, December. And Leslie and I both went to old Union School. Of course, there's no school there anymore, but that's between Annapolis and Eaton. It was a Union School. We went there, and then after my father died in 1920, then Mother stayed single till in October the 26th, 1926, she married Lewis Fall. And we went to live up by, well, we called it Dugan or Willow Prairie. We lived up there. And
how long did you go to school?
Could you tell about how
we moved down on what we call Burner Corner. That's where Leslie and I and Ruth then went to school down there. And Ruth went to Robinson. She graduated from Robinson High School. And Leslie went 2 years, and then he went to work. And I just finished the 8th grade, and then but I went to work. I never got to go to high school. I went out to just.
And Leslie just had 2 years.
That's right.
High school.
He went to work for Alvy Smith on the farm. Well, just ask me something else.
I thought maybe you'd tell how that you acquired your husband.
Well,
I met him.
I hadn't got that far yet. I just got out of school.
Did you ever have any bad sicknesses in your family?
No.
When you were growing up?
Well, I can't remember anything. We had the measles and mumps and the whooping cough.
She had the flu, and she looked like.
Yeah, I had the flu
got
in
a picture of her. She looked like
1923.
out.
I had to miss school. That was the only sickness I guess I ever really had. But I was just as weak as a cat, and I didn't work for a good while. The doctor, my old Doc Bartmus, told Mother, said, "Don't let her go to work." Said it'd be too hard on her. Said she isn't strong enough. So.
How old were you when that happened?
I was 13.
What were your favorite subjects in school?
Well, I think spelling. Always liked spelling. Hated history. Oh,
Hated history.
Never did like history. I liked spelling. Well, I liked arithmetic pretty good too. Of course, it didn't always work out the right way, but I still liked it.
Well, that's certainly different from me.
Yeah.
I hate arithmetic. Did you ever have any of those really bad Midwestern storms that you went through? Tornadoes or?
No, we
Real
never
bad
had any,
storms?
but I remember when we lived there on what we called Culver. That was when we were down at Burner Corner. That would have been in about 1923 or 4, when they had that terrible tornado and storm that went through Murfreesboro.
Oh.
And we had pieces of paper and cardboard or different things that landed in our yard up there. Now, I have no idea how far that would have been, but there was stuff blown clear up there from down
That'd be
there.
125, 50 miles.
Murfreesboro, Illinois.
Oh.
Now, I don't know how far that would be.
It's over 100 miles from here.
And see, Lewis and Mother were married, and we went up there. Now, Leslie wasn't married yet, but he worked in Robinson, and he boarded at Lawrence Wilson's. And then soon after that, he and Mina were married, and then they moved down on what they called the lease down there on the Kirk, and he pumped for the Ohio. And he was married, when did I say, or did I say when he was married? It's in here somewhere, but he was, yeah, he was married April the 26th in 1928. See, the folks were married in 26, and then 2 years later he was married, and then he...
April 26, 28. Mary and I were married in the 24th of December in 27.
And you were both married at the same place, or over at Robinson, the same Reverend Hubbleston, or...
Boatwright.
Boatwright. I've heard you talk about that. And then in January of 29, wasn't that when you and I started going together? We went together 2 years. We were married in 1931 then. December the 19th, 1931. Came down here to garden spot in the world, close to Chansey.
Sure was a lot of briars in that old garden, though.
Well, and I think you told this in yours, we were married by Reverend Levi Carter at Newton.
But just said we were married in Newton, I think.
And
Now, what? It took you 2 years. You dated for 2 years before you got married.
right.
Did you think that was a good idea? Looking back on it now.
It was all right, but it was more necessity than it was. See, I had to get over the other problem and losing Mary and all, and
Had to find a place to live and that.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
If we had married a year earlier, we'd have had a lot better chance to pick out a place. You know, the way it happened, Grandpa had married a woman down here, over here west of Chansey, and he knew this old Whiteside place. And I went down and looked at that boy. It was grown up in briars, so you wouldn't believe it. That briars growed in upstairs windows. And
Now that's what I call tall tale.
tall tales. and we lived there.
But that's the truth.
We lived there over a year before I ever knew there was a front walk there. It had trees on, and it had this old honeysuckle. And it just grew a mat about that thing. When I found that walk, I just took the axe and went down the side of it and just cut it off in sheets. And we had a good walk down to the road.
How did you feel, Grandma, about your first house?
How did I feel about
Were
it?
you excited
It
about it?
seemed like it was all windows. It had these great big old long windows, and I had bought material and made curtains out of kind of looked like polka dot stuff, but and I don't know. It was something. We just had a bunch of used furniture, and
What'd the house have in it for rooms?
well, it had it faced the west, and the front of it was 2 rooms. You went through the front door. There was your living room, and then to your
Like that would have been the
left would have been the bedroom, and then the back was the kitchen and a closed-in porch on the north, and then a pantry like, and then upstairs.
There was a front porch on it.
Upstairs had 3 rooms in it, and then there was a cellar in it. We had a cellar there.
It filled had 4 feet of water in it in the spring, and the water was going freeze was going out of the ground.
Yeah, it was it wasn't nothing to brag on, but
It sure was home. We made a home out of it. It sure wasn't anything when we went there, but cleaned up the old garden and briars around there. Like to wear outside.
and that's where Bob was born.
And the fella.
November 19.
I was born at home,
And
right?
in the house he was born?
Yeah, that's where he was born, there at the house.
Right.
Pardon?
You
What'd you say?
installed both.
Did you have anybody here with you?
Uh-huh.
A midwife or what?
Well, we had
Then a doctor and
A doctor came to the
came
house?
out.
we had Llewellyn's mother, I.D. Cottrell. She was there, and my Uncle
Dolly.
John, Aunt Dolly, they were both there.
For Stella.
No, not for Stella. And
That's
Mina
right.
came for Stella.
Mine, that's right.
But this was for Bob. I'll never forget Ida when he was born. Old Doc Stoll was there, you know, and Ida said, "Oh, I don't think he'll ever walk." You know, his little feet. He said
Little
his
legs,
feet shouldn't.
it doubled
He said,
up.
"Oh, he'll never walk."
He'll never walk on them little legs.
Why, he's the walkingest guy you ever saw. Never affected him. But that was something.
Were
So
you
you-
always such a good cook?
Well, I always done the best of what I had to work with, and the farther we go, the better we get to work with, so I guess yes.
You cooked a lot when you were young, didn't you?
Oh, my land, yes. That's what I did, was work out for people and cook
Yeah.
and take care of babies.
So you were well seasoned before you got married
Yes, I think so.
in the skills of cooking and taking care of
Kids.
kids and
Yeah.
sewing.
So when did Grandpa did he come to live with you when you were at Whiteside or when
Yeah.
you came to
Right.
Petty?
He and Alice separated when we were there on the white side. I'll never forget. He come moved over there to that north porch, you know, and began unloading his stuff. She'd give him oh my gosh,
Oh, go
an
ahead.
old feather bed, and I think a chair and a rug or two. You know, she wove rugs. She let him have a rug or two, but just his clothes, and that was about it. He moved in, and see, then after Bob was born, I think you slept upstairs with Grandpa some. And you know, Grandpa'd get ready to go to bed, and he'd light the lantern and sat up there in the kitchen, and you'd sneak in, you know, and turn it up or turn it down, whichever one it wasn't. Like, you'd do it, and Grandpa'd
Turn
get
it
after you, you know.
Is that at the Whiteside place?
Uh-huh.
He'd go
Yeah.
and
See, you're just 2 years old.
I didn't know. I just put it in oil in that lantern here just a day or two ago. So he'd go and get the oil can, pour some oil in it, and And it was, you had turned it down instead of it going out.
Yeah. Then Stella was born there too, you see. Stella was born then, he was born in 33, and then Stella was born in the 11th of December, 35. Then that next spring was when we moved down over here on the, what it's called the Patty. But you told all that.
Let's see, we lived there how long?
We lived there till 46.
We were married
Then we
31.
moved down to, on the King.
No, I mean, on the white side.
We lived there from the
31
19th of December
35.
31 till February 3rd.
I guess we was there 5
36.
years.
I thought Stella was born in 36. She's born in 35?
Born 35. He was
31.
born 33. And then he was
31, 5's 36.
31 and what?
5's 36. We was there 4 years. Five.
Went there the 31st of, in 1931,
Yeah.
December the 19th. He was born in November of 33. And then Estella was born in December of 35.
Well, I'm trying to get at how long did we live there?
Well, how we left in February.
Evidently
We
5
left
years.
in February of 36. Got that all down?
Yep, so we were there 5
I
years.
I don't remember a thing at the. I don't remember the white side at all.
No, you wouldn't. No. No, you wouldn't remember.
I was only 3.